Hi everyone, Simon Keeling here at weatherweb.net. Thanks again for watching. This is your look ahead update brought to you on Thursday the 12th of June. Thanks again for watching. Just a reminder that we kept free of charge here at weatherweb.net because you come back and use the site and tell your friends about us. It basically means we can put more adverts in front of you. That means it generates more revenue, which keeps us free of charge. We're a commercial operation, so we need to make a profit in order to offer you more videos and keep the service going. So thanks for your continued support. Now, going to take a look at the MJO in just a moment. Question mark over what happens at the end of next week. Most models do hint at the idea that this high kind of continues on through the weekend, through next week, ad infinitum really. But what tends to happen is models get stuck and they see a dominant pattern and they stick with it. And really, you've got to look for the small idiosyncrasies in each of the models to try and pick out any signs of breaking weather. So, first of all, just show you this from meteocenter.com. This is the comparison of pressure from several different models, the GEM, the GFS, the UK Met and the ECMWF, and this is running ahead here. It's this top chart, by the way, that I'm interested in. This is running up to the 22nd, so it's running up to a week on Sunday. Now notice, this is the pressure for Liverpool. Notice how close together we are down here, but then look what happens from about the 18th onwards, so next Thursday? No, it's next Wednesday, isn't it? We start to see a break take place, look, in this pressure pattern. And in fact, by the time we get through to the end of next week, GFS really goes more unsettled with lower pressures, whereas ECMWF is staying with higher. So certainly the model's starting to see something happening during that late part of next week into next weekend. And at the moment, I mean, I could be wrong on this, but at the moment I kind of think that we are likely to see this thundery breakdown starting to come through at the end of the week and into next weekend. It may be that developments during the week get rid of that, but certainly this is something I was hinting at over the last couple of days, that we could look towards this breakdown taking place. Now, what's interesting here is that if we take a look at the ECMWF charts for the next few days, this is today, look, ridge over the top of us. Here's tomorrow, this is Saturday, look, that big ridge building out here in the Atlantic. This just continuing to pump the heights northwards. But we've got this feed coming in here of cooler air down through Scandinavia. Now, watch what happens as this progresses, because what that does is it builds, or rather it deepens the trough out here across Eastern Europe while our ridge to the west builds, and that has an impact later on in this sequence as we're moving on into next week. Look, there's the trough out towards the east, but look at the trough now out in the Atlantic, just out here, look, and this is the chart for Monday. So again, we've got a trough here, we've got a ridge here, and we've got this deep trough feature through here. Now, what we've got to watch is for the neck of these two joining at the bottom there, and if we just knock it on again, this is on to Tuesday, look how close they are. This is Wednesday, those two are very, very close at that stage. And then as we head into Thursday, that's what we see, look, and then Friday, that cold pool has become a separate feature, and then Saturday and Sunday. However, I think what is likely to happen here, and I think we're okay up till about that stage. What I think is going to happen is that this is the chart for, when is it, next Wednesday? So next Wednesday, this and this joining here. Okay, that's what we need to watch for. I think that by the next chart that we see here, so if we go on to the chart for Friday, okay, you see it's kind of separated off that low here, these lower than normal heights here, sorry, not lower than normal heights, the centre of lows, the centre of low heights even here to the west of Portugal, and we've got this trough here, but they're still separated, yeah, the ridge is still doing its job, but I don't think that will be it. I think what we're going to find is a low here, centred down over the south, that's going to start to spin up and give us a tendency leaning into a more thundery flow as that feature starts to control conditions across the central parts of Europe. And of course, that's effectively what we've been seeing. You see, it does try to pull back in again to having that low to the south here and the high to the north right at the very end of the forecast period, the 22nd. And it's trying to hint at this idea of thundery stuff coming northwards around then. And I think this is probably about right. So the ECMWF seems to have the right ideas. It's the way that this thing develops. And what's interesting here is that if we look at the MJO forecast, this is from the CFS. Look, it takes us into phase 4. So we're going into phase 4, the back end this week through this, the early part next week, and then it takes us into phase 4 at the back end the next week, really strongly through phase 5, 6, and then into 7 as we head into the early part of July. So exactly what is phase 4? Well, that's phase 4. Look, big ridge to the west, trough out here, so we get that sort of feature taking place. Well, if we look back at the ECMWF, then you notice that that's the feature, basically, that we're seeing this week. There it is, look, where we have trough in the Atlantic. There's the big ridge west of the UK. There's the trough across Europe. So it takes us through phase 4, and it seems pretty confident that it's going to be a fairly strong phase 4 as well. But then what it tends to do is to bring us into phase 5 around about the 23rd, 24th, that sort of time. And what does phase 5 do? Well, this would be next weekend into the week after next. This is phase 5. And what phase 5 does is it puts us into higher than normal heights to the north, to the south, and low than normal heights to the east and to the west. But that brings in thundery south to southeasterly winds and pushes bands of thundery rain northwards through the country. So it's doing this, according to the CFS, it wants to bring this in around the, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 20th. So then I was right that it's the 23rd, 24th. So it's the early stages of the week after next. So I think we need to watch. I mean, I think this could happen perhaps a little bit sooner, perhaps as late as early as a week on Sunday, that we start to see this breakdown into thundery weather going into this period towards the end of the month. You notice it then pulls us into phase 6 around about the 28th, and phase 6 looks something like this, where we have a deep trough across Eastern Europe, so sort of Eastern Scandinavia, Western Russia, pulls us into that sort of flow. So we're getting a north to northeasterly flow, but we still have this flow coming in off the Atlantic and higher than normal heights down towards the south. So it's pretty cool across some parts of the country, fairly disturbed, fairly unsettled. I'm not convinced that this will go that unsettled. I tend to think that the very end of the month, early July, may not be too bad a period of weather, but we shall have to wait and see. It's not what the MJO at this stage is trying to indicate for us. And you saw there that it pulled us quite heavily into phase 7 as well, and phase 7 looks like that, where it just makes things more unsettled through the country into the early part. It would make things more unsettled into the early part of July. The north would be cool, the south would be warm, and we'd have kind of a jet, something like that. So it's trying to make us unsettled for the early part of July. So it's something we've got to consider, certainly. It's something that we have to take notice of, that's where the MJO is trying to take us. I'm still holding out for the thundery stuff next weekend into the beginning of the week after, lasting for a wee while, taking us into more unsettled weather up to the 28th, 29th of the month, and then that very end of the month, early part of July, perhaps going into a more settled period. But I've got this eye now to the idea of it going unsettled. So do stay tuned, watch the updates, watch the progress. I'm going to issue some guidance to private clients probably tomorrow or over the weekend, just trying to firm up on this. You can become a private client too. Go to the top of the page, use the contact form, and I can give you more information. But just interesting developments there, I think you'll agree. Okay, so I'm going to leave you with that for now, but thanks again for watching, whatever you're doing. Have a great day, and keep the sun shining. Bye for now.